So question. It's been a year of pandemic. Have we taken a chance to like self-reflect? Let's come up.
Yeah, so I did not self-reflect this entire pandemic, and I think that is, if I'm being like totally honest, and I think that has to do a lot with because I was so stuck in the motions. I'm like a gear, like I just keep going and going, like I don't stop and like get an oil change or whatever gears get. Um, and I think it's been a really tough 14 months. It's been really I think it's been the most difficult time I think for me in my entire life. I mean like I'm relatively young, right? Like I'm 16, right? But but I would have to say it was really really hard. And I think Mr. McKee was talking about like going back and forth, like and then Josh was like a pacer test. Um, I kind of took it more like a soccer game. Like, when you're like tied in a soccer game, like 0-0 with no goals, you're just going back and forth, and you're like, what is the point in this? I'd rather lose at this point, like something has to happen. And that's what I was feeling like. I was like, nothing is happening besides this pandemic because I wasn't doing anything other than barely waking up in the morning at like 8:25 to go to my computer and like log into Zoom. And then after that, I did my homework on my computer. Um, and then after that, I like ate dinner. And then after that, I did some more homework and studying. And then after that, I went to bed. And that was my life for like the past 14 months. And it was crazy. But I also want to say that I think our generation went through like everything, um in the sense that we went through, I think, like, I feel like our generation really like intellectually changed, um where we took a more stance in like, I'm not sure if this is the right way to say this, but like in the political spectrum, where we now are like discussing things that are affecting us, even with the pandemic, right? Like we went through, obviously, we're still going through COVID. We went through BLM. We went through Asian American hate. I mean, we're still going through it, obviously, Islamophobia, like all of it. We went through everything. And despite like all the stresses and all the hardship and all the hurdles that were put in front of us, we still kept going. We still kept going. But I also want to acknowledge like the bruises and scars that we've gotten as a result of continuing to go. So I think that, I don't know if this makes sense at all, but I feel like we're kind of in this huge soup where everything was just tossed in, and then we had to figure out how to make the best soup possible. It's really, really, really hard. I don't know how else to describe it. It's very hard to describe. It's like almost indescribable. And I would ask like my friends what they think about the past 14, almost 15 months. And I'd have to say it was they don't really know what to say of it because there's not much to remember.
I would I would say I have tried to self-reflect, but I find that I need to have people around me to remind me to do it, and who tend to become my support system in reminding me to take some time. And I would say that I need it to come from people who I feel like get me, not people who are just like, oh, go make sure you're taking care of yourself. Like it doesn't work for me if it's coming from someone that like maybe they don't have kids like me, like I need like a circle, whether it be like a sister circle, whatever you're calling it, right, of people who are also educators or also working 24, like they're doing all the same things, and then they're like, hey, wait, are you okay? Like, so when they ask me, it's a genuine question, and then I can have a genuine answer, because I find that there's so much going on that we are going to I keep going until I'm forced to not keep going. And so what I loved was when Mr. McKee was talking about carving out time and putting it in the calendar. And I had a friend who was like, don't fill that calendar up when you go back and teachers are asking you, like, save a spot for you, save a spot for that SOS call. And she recommended like specific strategies that would help me, that have helped her, and she had a similar position. And those kinds of pieces have been really useful to me. But I really do think I work better. I can do like when you're asking the question around self-reflection, I do better in my own life and practice having people around me that I call my thought partners. So like when I need to talk something out, think something through, or I want an opinion on something. And I would also say like people who I would call my like accountability partners, people that I trust that would say to me like, are you sure? Like, are you sure you're all right? I know you're saying okay, but are you sure you're okay? And then can call me out and like ask me a question and care what my answer is. And I think all of those help me because I'm a person where I pride myself in feeling like I know how I feel when I approach a situation. So I'm going to just keep moving through it if I'm okay with it. But I need some of those moments to go, no, like we pause in a classroom. I pause for reflection in a classroom. I should pause for myself in my life. But I just need people who help hold me accountable to that often.
Yeah, I can't echo more what, Ms. Rothstein said, but having those people in your life that you can have a deeper conversation with or ask them questions or get in, you can put yourself out there and not know if you're going to be right or wrong or whatever, but bringing yourself to have a conversation where you're vulnerable and you're coming willing to learn and to think about things critically and change, not to come to a conversation feeling like you have to be right or you have to tell people they're wrong. I think that's the only way that you can really self-reflect in a meaningful way, even though it's with others. But that's going to be super helpful. Nora said with all of the social change and justice movements that have been happening or really, taken off, I guess, in the last year, conversations around those things, it can be scary to have conversations around those things when you don't know what the reaction from other people is going to be when you kind of express your opinion. But when you do have those conversations with people, just kind of knowing that you might not be right, they might not be right, but we're all working collectively to be better than we were before and understand more about situations than we did before. That helps me look at myself and self-reflect and just kind of see where I can be a little bit better every day, treat people better, how I'm impacting those around me. And I think kind of Ms. Rothstein touched on this before too. If you control what you're doing, I think that can be infectious and other people can start looking inward too. And we can build, a stronger community overall.
Yeah, whenever I self last 14 months, it's just been like, on one hand, it's like so easy to regret the things that we missed out on, right? It's like, I think, oh, can you guys hear me? And my Wi-Fi is unstable, apparently. That's lovely. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're coming through, Josh.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you guys froze, and sorry about that. But yeah, I was like, I think we've been talking about this since the pandemic. Oh my goodness, all the things we missed, all the poor seniors last year that missed their graduation, the rest of junior year that we missed out on. So I think it's really easy to get caught up in the negatives. But like we said, there are so many positive things that happened during the pandemic as well. I mean, the reality is that the growth of these social justice movements in last year is a positive force. And on the more minor scale, like, I don't know what, like, Cats was born during the pandemic. Like, I created it during the pandemic, and I have no idea what it would have been had the pandemic not happened. So I don't know. I'm just, while I wish things maybe could have been different, we can't change that, right? So I think it's important to be grateful upon the positive things that happened over the last year.